This is QTV News with me, Momodu Gajaga. Thanks for joining us. First, the local, business and international news headlines. In the local news, President Barrow in his 55th independence celebration statement says the time has come for Gambians to reflect objectively and selflessly to develop the country. Former Imam of State House Mosque and member of the Supreme Islamic Council, Imam Abdullah Fati, told the TRRC that Muslims are divided into 73 sects, out of which 72 will go to hell. The Gambia Public Procurement Authority held a validation forum to review the Draft Regulation Act 2020. In international news, Muslim groups in Germany seek increased protection following the uncovering of a plot to attack mosque. And 9 out of 16 defendants who faced charges of attempting to overthrow the Turkish government have had the case against them thrown out. Welcome and thanks for joining us. Now, the local news in detail. President Barrow in his 55th independence celebration statement says the time has come for Gambians to reflect objectively and selflessly to develop the country.
The Gambia clocks 55 years today as an independent sovereign state responsible for managing its affairs without any external interference. This year's celebration took place at the Makati Square in Banjul, the same venue where the Union Jack was lowered and the Gambian flag hoisted on 18 February 1965. The event was characterized by a parade by the armed and security personnel and a march past by students and members of voluntary organizations.
Celebrating the anniversary of this historic event should trigger thoughts to guide us, redefine our individual roles as citizens of this nation, in order to situate and reposition our motherland better on the global stage. As this is our national day, it is a moment to unite and deliberate on national issues and not on partisan and conflict interests. As true sons and daughters of the Gambia, this is a moment to reflect on the implications of independence. Not only political independence, but also social and economic independence.
President Barrow went on to advocate peace and unity for sustainable development as outlined in his government's National Development Plan. He implored Gambians not to allow politics or tribal differences to divide them to the detriment of the country.
Having emerged from decades of underdevelopment, slow progress, retarded growth and dictatorship, the time has come for us to reflect objectively and selflessly on what needs to be done differently for better results. Thus, we should ask ourselves, what does putting the national interest first really imply? How can we work together to address all the development deficits that continue to affect every Gambian, directly or indirectly? The key challenges that continue to affect this nation can be solved only if we reconcile our differences, maintain peace and stability, law and order, progress and development. Fundamentally, we must avoid acting against national interests.
He promised to abide by democratic values where the liberties and freedoms being enjoyed by every Gambian will continue to be respected.
Let us demonstrate that we are capable of managing our affairs by accommodating our differences, celebrating our successes, providing feedback with discipline, and expressing our opinions with respect and dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, this day is important because it also reminds us of our pledge in the national anthem and underscores the need to live in unity, freedom, and peace each day. Therefore, we must be aware of all divisive speeches, actions, sentiments, and concepts that may lead to social divisions in our communities. Ethnic rivalry is dreadful. Accordingly, I urge all of us to renew our commitment and pledge our firm allegiance to the nation, because the Gambia belongs to all of us.
Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Former State House Imam and executive member of the Supreme Islamic Council, Imam Abdullah Fati, on Monday told the TRRC Muslims are divided into 73 sects, out of which 72 will go to hell. Babakar C has the rest of that story.
Imam Abdullah Fati began his testimony with a rundown of his educational background to his appointment as Imam of State House Mosque in 1995. The Imam denied being ever consulted by the former president for advice, but said his sermons are based on Islamic values and principles. He told the commission that the Supreme Islamic Council executed directives from former president. Among the directives was to regulate, monitor and certify Islamic preachers in the country on both radio and television.
When you implemented Yaya Jammeh's order to ban people, that was unlawful.
Akaka memfo wala mnyinti fwebe sonna nyinna birali Yaya Jammeh la kangota kawo londe pour ka molu tong woni silo mantanyola
Ndalga momon tonga ton silo laka. Anyone that we banned, we did that lawfully. Mo danta. A few individuals. And we banned them. On the basis of which law?
Aliye tong loi jumale la kangokan.
The one that we swore to.
Imam Fati said the Supreme Islamic Council has a committee that bans individuals from preaching and allow others to preach. When the lead council put it to him that banning other religious leaders from preaching was unlawful. This is what Imam Fati had to say.
Gambian society in general, Gambian society in general, I agree that all of us were silent. We are not talking about the silence, we're talking about your actions.
Mantara dewla kumo fokansai atella baro mbewole fokan.
Supreme Islamic Council, the Supreme Islamic Council, the way they were supposed to operate, that was how they operated.
The Imam claimed that Muslims are divided into 73 sects, out of which all the 72 sects will go to hell. At this juncture, the lead council told the Imam that the Supreme Islamic Council has no power under the Gambian law to stop anyone or sect from practicing their religion.
Anyone who wishes to insult Aisha must do so out of this place, not here. One of my sermons are here from 1997 on issues bordering on the Ahmadiyyas. The Ahmadiyyas, all the knowledgeable people on Islam in the world, all of them have agreed that they are non-believers. Anyone who wishes to be an Ahmadiyya can be one, but let them detach themselves from calling themselves Muslims.
The former State House Mosque Imam accepted calling the Ahmadis as non-believers that should be banned. However, the Imam denied allegations that he ordered for the arrest of Imam Bakausu Fofana and also refuted allegations that he ordered for banning Bakausu from preaching. Imam Fati also denied allegations made against him by Imam Babali, but accepted that he was not happy with Babali's conduct. He also denied supporting the former president when 9 Mile 2 inmates were executed. Imam Fati said he is not wrong to campaign against people who do not follow the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The Gambia Public Procurement Authority on Monday held a validation workshop to review its Draft Regulation Act 2020. Bintu Koka reports.
The draft document will go through adjustments to ensure it is in accordance with international best practice, improving its policy act. Stakeholders from both private and public institutions discuss issues and concerns on the Draft 2020 Act before its final document. Ibrahim Sanyang, Director of Policies Procurement Operation of Gambia Public Procurement Authority, speaks about the importance of having a strong compliance act.
Strict compliance of procurement rules must be observed to promote the objective of the Gambia Public Procurement Act. The Ministry of Finance should ensure government compliance with procurement and promote the application of sanctions to ensure compliance.
Mr. Sanyang adds that after the validation process, the Act will serve as a guide for institutions.
We are very hopeful that this consultative validation workshop will be done with trust and will also be done from honest opinions, so as at the end of the day we'll come out with a document that of course will be reflective of, as I said earlier, international best practices and also give us that value for money that we always look in for in our procurement transactions.
Yasin Senghor, consultant for GPPA, speaks about the aim of the reform process.
Was really to go into more detail within the Act and also to make the regulations a bit more dynamic, if I can use that word. Because right now what we have is there are different kinds of procurement from different procuring authorities. So maybe a government ministry, a local government, public enterprise, all of those people are following the same regulations in respect of procurement. And the whole idea of beefing up the Act as such is so that different regulations can actually be, the authority can have different regulations to cater for the needs of the different authorities.
The final document will be shared to all government institutions for a guide on their procurement operations. Over 70% of the government annual budget is public procurement related. It is expected that the final draft will meet international standards and best practices on procurement issues. Bintu Koka, QTV News.
District chiefs represented a tangible example of African leadership during colonial rule and present-day Gambia. The multiple responsibilities of collecting tax, dispensers of native justice and guardians of the law and order has been topped by frequent land disputes. This report by Mamadou Lamin Choi looks at the need for proper maintenance and independence of district tribunals.
Customary laws are part and parcel of the laws of the Gambia, and district chiefs continue to administer justice guided by customs of their areas of jurisdictions. At district levels, chiefs exercise judicial powers relating to matters like inheritance, land, marriage, and other social disputes. As they exercise judicial functions, chiefs told QTV that the most frequent case they hear at their respective district tribunals is land dispute. Their decisions are legally binding, but also subject to appeals at the High Court. We hear lots of land dispute cases. In most cases, our decisions are so efficient that appeals are normally dismissed by the High Court. All this is because we have enough knowledge of the customs at the district levels. As more cases are filed now than previously, these traditional chiefs have also said that negotiations outside the court system for dispute resolution, peace and reconciliation is usually observed. However, it appears that public awareness and recognition of the district tribunals seems to have gone down. Mora Jawla, the chief of Sami district, has attributed this to corrupt practices like bribery by his colleague chiefs. The chief of Sami also prefers alternative dispute resolutions. Negotiation at first instance is always better for us than settlement of disputes in the district tribunals. Always resorting to court will only divide us as a society. For example, between husband and wife, negotiation for understanding is the best. Constitutionally, district chiefs are appointed by the president, a practice that will change if the relevant section of draft constitution is adopted following the referendum. Gambians will then be allowed to elect their own chiefs at district levels, who the constitution requires to be apolitical. Analysts say this will accord chiefs more independence in exercising their functions. These chiefs feel that they are more empowered and independent today than before. In 2019, an executive decision ended the services of some district chiefs, a move the Minister of Land and Regional Government described as retiring them to uphold public interest and public administration, even though there is no statutory age limit for chiefs in the Local Government Act. Effective and efficient district tribunals is significant in the Gambia's justice process and the preservation of society's customs and traditions. The newly drafted Constitution of the Gambia guarantees the non-abolition of the office of chiefs. Hasum Sise, a renowned Gambian historian, gives a recollection of success stories of chiefs during the colonial administration.
The colonial project, succeeded largely because of the effort of chiefs. Chiefs, used to collect 80% of the Gambia's revenue.
With well-functioning independent district tribunals and government's empowerment of traditional chiefs, administration of justice through customary laws can help in the maintenance of social stability and the preservation of the country's customs and tradition from generation after generation. Mahmoud Lamin Choi for QTV News.
More than 20 schools in Central and Upper River regions took part in a 3-day inter-schools athletics qualifiers in Bansang. The event brought together athletes to compete in both track and field events. I was there, and this is the report. A show of stamina, speed and agility. After weeks and months of training in humid conditions, it was time to compete for places in the National Schools Championships. But before getting there, these athletes must ensure qualification on this ground. Khadijatu Iba of Same Karantaba Senior Secondary School won the women's 3,000 meters and qualified to the national event.
I'm ready to go and attend inter-school at the stadium. And I'll try by all means to make it.
The men's 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters were competitive. A show of strength appears to have won it for Pierre Mane of Kunting Basic Cycle School. He reached the finish line in grand style, attracting a standing ovation from supporters.
So difficult, but I just make my effort to win it by force. And I force myself because I've been training it for a long time. I can say almost 1 month ago, I've been training for it.
Another star performer who lit the Bansang Senior Secondary School football field is Idrissa Sow, the school's captain. He anchored the 4x100 meters relay with super fast speed.
Heading to a competition and you want to achieve something there, you train for it. It is commitment. Athletic is all about, training. If you don't train, you will not gain nothing there. Some people are saying maraboutings, they depend on some. If you don't train, some people are running here. Their fathers are great marabouts. They cannot achieve nothing here. But for us, we are achieving every time you say first and second. I train for it.
There has been an increase in schools' participation, making the event more competitive and harder to organize. Last year, St. George's Senior Secondary School was banned for violent conduct. This year has been peaceful so far, but there are still challenges.
By virtue of looking at the magnitude of schools competing all over the nation, especially this particular zone, where you have the schools in URR and then CRR combined, obviously there are a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, what we do is to make sure that those issues are all solved. The most important problems about what is happening is about the teachers. It's the PE teachers who are not comforting themselves, and probably it is about the sensation of the athletics competition. But what they need to do is to comfort themselves and then apply the rules. And what we do is that anywhere that we have found there is some problems, we would make sure we go there and then solve the problem.
Bansang Senior Secondary School won the overall senior school category with 474 points. Nyamina Senior Secondary School second with 235 points. In the upper basic schools category, Kawur finished on 316 points and the host Bansang in second place. qualified athletes will compete in the national championships set for March 2020. We will now take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we take a look at international news. Join us after the break for these stories, sports and more.
Right time, right place, right price. Promote your product, business, and brand to millions of viewers nationwide or across the globe. Call QTV Marketing on 32-44444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm for all your advertisement needs. QTV Gambia, right place.
Welcome back, and thank you if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. Now to the international news. Muslim groups in Germany are calling for increased protection at mosques. The request came a week after German police authorities last week said they had uncovered a group of right-wing terrorists who were plotting to attack Muslims and asylum seekers. The group members were rounded up and they turned up at a barbecue event that was meant to act as a recruiting and planning event. It is believed the group, which appears to have links to far-right groups across Europe, had advanced plans and intended targets. Police intelligence shows the group planned to attack and kill immigrants, particularly Muslims, with mosques being their main target. Also in international news, a Turkish court on Tuesday acquitted 9 over their alleged roles in the 2013 Gezi Park protest in Istanbul. All those facing trial were involved in the protest, which started out as an objection to a real estate development, but which later switched to call for the resignation of President Erdogan, who was then Prime Minister. 7 others, also facing trial, are still awaiting a verdict. Among those acquitted is a businessman and human rights defender Osman Kavala, who had been accused of attempting to overthrow the government by organizing the mass demonstrations. In delivering the ruling, the judge said that there was not enough concrete evidence against the accused. The prosecution was seeking sentence which, on conviction, would have amounted to 47,000 years. Now, with the sports, let's join my colleague Ansumana Esonyasi. Ansumana, what is happening in the world of sports?
Well, many thanks, Gajaga. We begin in Nigeria, where the Nigerian Football Federation's president, Amaju Pinnick, has, defended the federation's decision to appoint, former Nigerian captain Joseph Yobo as the national team's assistant head coach. Well, this came in the wake of, huge public outcry, but then the president says it was the right decision. Well, still in Nigeria, the Nigerian Football Federation has finally picked a venue for next month's African Cup of Nations qualifier against Sierra Leone, despite suitability talks and concerns being raised by some senior national team players in Nigeria, as well as a section of the public, as to whether the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Ashaba, southern Nigeria, meets the requirements for, be able to host such a game of that magnitude, a competitive fixture. Well, they say it is going to be held at the Stephen Keshi Stadium. They've confirmed finally. Well, over now to South Africa quickly. South Africa is the first country to publicly express interest in hosting one of CAF's competitions finals this year. Of course, we know that there's going to be 2 major finals in May on the 24th and the 29th, but South Africa is the first country to express interest in hosting these finals. And the federation's president have announced, the acting executive secretary of the federation have announced that they are prepared to do everything possible to make sure that the finals are played in South Africa.
Thank you very much, Ansumana Esonyasi. Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main news stories. In the local news, President Barrow, in his 55th independence celebration statement, says the time has come for Gambians to reflect objectively and selflessly to develop the country. Former Imam of State House Mosque and member of the Supreme Islamic Council, Abdullah Fati, told the TRRC Muslims are divided into 73 sects, out of which 72 will go to hell. The Gambia Public Procurement Authority held a validation forum to review the Draft Regulation Act 2020. In international news, Muslim groups in Germany seek increased protection following the uncovering of a plot to attack mosque. And 9 out of 16 defendants who face charges of attempting to overthrow the Turkish government have had the case against them thrown out. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching, and once again, happy Independence Anniversary, the 55th Independence Anniversary for the Gambia. Blessed.